is the Front Three podcast, and welcome to our special Champions League round of 16 preview with myself, Big Will, Coach Dan, and of course the prodigy himself, AJ. Gentlemen, something feels a bit strange, a bit different.
There's a little je ne sais quoi about. But you know what? I'm going to throw a challenge to you guys. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think is different, because there's something different about us. Let us know.
New year, first show. How are we feeling, Coach?
I'm always feeling well, guys. Just can't wait to say something that might get AJ a bit hot in his little hoodie there. So yeah, no, ready to go, boys.
But people, before we go anywhere, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Actually, in fact, I want to go quite personal today. TikTok people who are on my neck. It's a new year, leave my neck alone. Okay, this year I'm coming for everyone on TikTok. Okay, you don't need to leave me alone. All right, I'm going to start responding to the slander because I've been watching, just scrolling and watching. TikTok guys, I'm coming for you. But anyway, I'm great.
Good stuff. So we've had the World Cup, gents. We've had Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga. Now it's back to the Champions League. So, gents, let's start by just picking apart some of the games that's going to come up next week. And let's start, Coach Dan, with a rematch of the Champions League final 2 years ago. PSG, Bayern Munich. It seems like in the last few years, they can't help but avoid each other.
Yeah, not avoid each other. You're absolutely right. And I think you might even be tempted to say like a small little rivalry brewing there, right? Yeah. I think with those two clubs, perhaps one of the reasons why there seems to be like a rivalry is the fact of how they like to run the clubs, right? Bayern Munich has never been a club where superstars, they don't spend, although in recent years they've been spending good money on certain players, but you get what I mean. They don't have like an Mbappe or a Neymar or a Messi. Mm-hmm. They've just never been that club, whereas PSG, that's what they think is the ingredient required to win the Champions League. Yeah. Still not happened yet, right? Yeah. I think with this tie, PSG have had Neymar out recently, Mbappe, not so sure. So are they going to be ready for the tie? Mm-hmm. Bayern Munich, on the other hand, they're not doing well in the domestic league. How are they going to get going? Yeah. But they had 100% distinction in the group stages. So, you know, it starts next week and they turn it up and just everything just seems nice and, you know, settled for them. I think for Bayern Munich, usually in the domestic league, it's already wrapped up. Yeah. You know they're going to win it, and so then everything else is just a bonus. This year, it doesn't seem to be the case. So are they going to concentrate solely on the Champions League tie against PSG? Mm-hmm. Or are they also going to look at who's behind them in the domestic league? Mm-hmm. But I mean, all that said, though, if you're asking me who I think is going to pick this tie up, I can't look further than even with Lionel Messi in PSG's changing room. Oh, this guy. There's a tie for Bayern Munich. I'm sorry.
Just on that then, quickly, AJ, if PSG go out at this stage in the Champions League, I mean, what can we say about PSG now?
Master and failure. It has to be. I think you got to look at it like this, right? The French league, people dub it the Farmers League and whatnot. And so you always expect PSG to win it. You know what I mean? With the Arsenal that they have, the money they spend. So essentially PSG, kind of like Man City, the onus on for them to win the Champions League. It's what the owners want. It's what Neymar wants. It's what Mbappe wants. And it's what Messi wants. It's just as simple as that. The greatest competition in Europe, you want to win it to prove that you're the best in Europe. It doesn't matter how many times you won it or not won it. That is always the ambition. If they go out at this stage, massive failure. Massive. And then you start to look at what's the motivation for them to now step up to the league and win the league, you know. So I think for PSG, everything's right on the Champions League this season.
Therefore, do you think they are going to win this tie?
Yes. I think PSG will win.
Why?
Number one, Messi. You can't look past that. Number two, I think Bayern have struggled.
I'm just happy it's Messi and not Neymar you mentioned first.
No, but Neymar's been injured. I'm going to get to Starboy. Don't worry about him. So, of course, Messi, huge factor. You know, the way he plays for PSG, we know the talent he has. But also, actually, on the side of Bayern, they've been struggling forward-wise. You know, they had the fallout with Gnabry. Sané's come into some decent form. But they have...
Mane's injured as well.
But they've got the pocket rocket in Musiala, who can change a game on its head. So I think it's going to be a fascinating game. I think there's going to be loads of little battles. And I think those little battles are what will give us the result. Do you know what I mean? Musiala, will he step up to the plate? Will Neymar be involved? Will Mbappe come to the forefront? Okay, if they don't, can Messi carry this team forward? Midfield-wise, you know, Danilo's been playing recently for PSG. Can he handle the midfield against someone like Kimmich? You know, so those little battles will tell. But for me, I think PSG, I feel like they have to go through, so they will.
Well, my last point on this fixture, is the fact that I think best thing that can happen to PSG if all three are not available to play. You cannot play Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi against Bayern Munich.
Well, because of the way Bayern are organised and
the way they're organised, the way they're going to come after this game, if you carry these three players in a tie against Bayern Munich, you won't survive. They just won't let you. It's a German club, guys. And the best at that as well.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes then. So switching gears then, AJ, let's go to North London. Tottenham, they're just beating Manchester City by the time we're recording this. They're facing AC Milan. So for Conte, familiar opposition. How do you see this tie going, AC Milan versus Tottenham?
I'm looking at my Arsenal fans now. Why would he give me Spurs? Every Spurs fan, thank you for what you did against me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look, I think it's going to be it's fascinating because if we look at their league form, right, Spurs are now 5th, 1 point off 4th behind Newcastle, had a massive result against Man City. And they're a bit of a bogey team for Man City. You know, of course, you know, Conte wasn't there, but he got the tactics right. You look at AC Milan, who are 6th in a league that's been dominated by Napoli, who are probably going to go on and win it. AC Milan's form has been a bit indifferent. But I think it just comes on, again, to battles on the pitch. You look at Kane, he's now top goal scorer in Tottenham history. So he's going to be confident coming into this game. Irrespective, he's going to be very confident. Then you look at Olivier Giroud. His form in Italy has been stupendous. He's got 4 goals in the Champions League as well. So it's Kane v Giroud. Who's going to score? Who's going to make an impact? Then you look at Rafael Leao. Arguably AC Milan's best player. When he comes on, manager's been using him sparingly recently. He's been coming on in games, but when he's on, the quality's there to see. He's electric, you know, and he can finish. So it's going to be Leao versus Son. Son, who hasn't been in great form, but, you know, recently he's looked like the Son of old. He's been combining with Kane a bit more. Against City, he was alive, he was bright. So that's another battle. And then you come into midfield, it'll probably be Højbjerg versus Tonali. Who can win that battle in midfield, you know? So these are the little battles across the pitch that I'll be looking at to see. Who's going to win? Hurts me to say this, but I think Tottenham will edge it. I just think they've got the wonder player in Kulusevski, who brings everything up front together for them. When he plays, Tottenham are better. They're a better team. They create more. They look more. They're more incisive going in behind, and he knows how to make something magical happen. So for me, it hurts me to say this, my Arsenal guys, but I think Spurs will edge it.
Coach Dan, in terms of AC Milan, they're back on the map in terms of the Champions League. Last year, it was the first time AC Milan had been in the Champions League for such and such years. This time, it's the first time they're in the knockout stage for such and such years. Is this the wrong time for them to be where they are, just given their form in Serie A? They've lost 4 on the bounce now. They're now 6th in the league after being 2nd just a few weeks ago. Quickly, what do you make of AC Milan's form?
Yeah, well, I think it's just that, isn't it? In that domestically, they're not doing good. And you need momentum coming into the Champions League. You know, because they broke up for the World Cup, as we all know, and now they've got back into the league and the machine is not working as well as, you know, they did last year. And so I look at them and I don't feel confidence at all, because they've just become that team again, right? You look at them, what they had was, they came together as a good team. I'm still not convinced about them individually. You see what I'm saying? And that matters in the Champions League knockout round when you need someone to step up. Maybe Leao can step up, but like you say, the manager hasn't been first in recent weeks. So it's a very difficult one, and I think I share the same sentiment. I think it's Tottenham all the way.
Tottenham all the way. Interesting. So, Coach, let's switch gears then now. We've got Club Brugge against Benfica. First of all, just on Club Brugge, how surprised have you been with how well they've done in the Champions League? The surprise team, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the group stage, the group that they were in, right? I think that was probably the most difficult group, they weren't a team you would think will come out. Not only that, they got more points than Leverkusen and Madrid combined. So, you know, all the credit to them. I think their issue now
The
is
manager.
the issue that I had before, which is
Fulham fans.
which is Scott Parker. Because you look at them domestically now, they're not doing anything.
They've won one in the last 6 games or something.
It's just
like
been
that.
very bad for them. And so I don't know what their appeal was getting Scott Parker in, but listen, man, let him make us proud, innit? I want to have something good to say about Scott Parker in recent years. I think you look at Benfica.
Yeah.
Obvious thing is that the biggest transfer this last window is Enzo leaving. He was a big part of what they do in midfield.
Yeah.
You look at some of the performance, let's say, in the group stage against PSG.
Yeah.
He's a key player.
And they topped that group as well.
They topped the group, exactly. He's a key player for them. The only thing is they're a very experienced squad. They're sitting pretty at the top of their league. Everything just seems to be going well for them. They've got plenty of goals in them. And so I don't see Club Brugge surviving this at all.
AJ, agree?
Yeah, I think I agree. The Scott Parker thing is very interesting because, again, you have a manager who's never managed in the Champions League coming up against Benfica, who've been in the Champions League. And I think that will tell.
He has got experience at a top club, though.
Yeah, but it's different to manage.
Oh,
okay. Anyway, whoa. So, yeah. And so I think that will tip towards Benfica. Benfica, you go to their stadium, it's hostile, you know, the environment's different. The fans are literally kicking every ball with them as well. And that will play a massive factor. It depends on Scott. What kind of mentality is he going into the game with? You know, are we going to go out there, set our stall out, try and be compact and catch them on a counter? Are we going to go there and play our football and try and exert some dominance? For me, this hinges on the managers more than anything.
Of course. And don't forget, in the group stages, Club Brugge, they went to Porto and won 4-0 as well.
Exactly.
So they could definitely
It's
spring
a
a surprise.
stark distinction between Porto and Benfica, guys.
There's a stark distinction between a world-class manager and Scott Parker. You know, so these are the things, man.
So then finally, AJ, we've got Chelsea, the big spenders, against Borussia Dortmund. Your thoughts on the game?
This is a very interesting one because Chelsea are coming into this game without momentum. Okay, Dortmund have momentum. Dortmund have been playing well. Jude Bellingham, of course, everyone knows about Jude. He's come to the forefront.
I think they've won 4 in a row now.
4 in a row, yeah. He's pulling strings in the midfield and he's scoring and assisting. You combine that along with the players that he has around him in terms of Royce, Gio Reyna, these young, bright players.
Even Sebastian Haller's now come back.
Haller has now come back and he's scoring goals as well. So the moment, it seems as if everything is going well with Dortmund, right? And then you look at Chelsea. They've made big signings. Some of the players are unhappy. There have been some omissions from the Champions League squad. Graham Potter hasn't found his best team yet. There's pressure on Graham Potter, whether you like it or not. I always say this, when a manager is a manager of a club and he spent big money, there's another level of pressure. If you felt like there was pressure before, there's even more pressure now. But the good thing for him is he's got players who are experienced in the Champions League. Okay? You look at Kovacic, Enzo, for example, Raheem Sterling, Thiago Silva. All these players I'm mentioning have experience in the Champions League. Okay? So now you look at it and you're like, okay, will that experience tell? Or will Dortmund's youth and vibrancy be too much for Chelsea? And Chelsea can't score goals at the moment. So if I was to pick a winner...
Would you think this is the toughest tie to pick?
Yeah,
who wins,
this is the toughest tie to pick who wins. I think it's so delicately poised. But I'd say Dortmund.
Yeah, and I'll agree just because I feel like they can score more goals. Chelsea recently haven't showed that. And then, coach, in terms of Dortmund, they haven't won their last 10 games against any English opposition. Do you think this is the time for them to get through?
As long as an English club goes up against a European team, I'm sorry, I'm biased. I'll always pick the English clubs.
Yeah, no, of course.
I want them to do well.
Though with your Fulham colours, you're still...
Well, no, absolutely. Listen, because you have to back the nation, I suppose, you're from and whatnot. I think in spite of what you've said, which is all true, you know, we can't argue against that. You look at the players they've brought in, if they were all able to play the Champions League, then you even give them a better chance. But 100%. Like you say, only 3 are allowed to go and play. But I think, you know, João Felix, for example, I think he got a red card in his first game, but I thought he was magic.
Even in that magic. Cameo.
He was just magic. Yeah. I think that's going to be a big difference for them. They just got players that, like I was saying earlier on, you need players that can just turn it on and win you a game. And I think as much as maybe they're not clicking yet, football is like that, guys. Football is like that. You maybe need João Felix to bring some magic, which sort of rubs off on the rest, and they start scoring goals. And I think they should see this tie through.
Yeah. Even Mudryk, the cameo I saw against Liverpool, I was like, wow, okay.
Not so impressive against Fulham though.
No, of
But
course not.
allegedly he had a cold.
cold.
So.
In the words of Potter, heavy cold. You know, but I think, you know, the Champions League will be more of a comfort and a home zone for him. Let's say Fulham, West London, packed pitch. He's playing in the Champions League. You know, it's different. And we always say the Champions League is completely different to the Prem in terms of the air that it brings. It's European football. So we'll see. We'll see if the game changers step up for Chelsea. We'll see.
They'll be fine.
We'll see. Well, so if you agree or disagree with our predictions, make sure you let us know on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, wherever we are on social media. That does it for the part 1 of our preview show. Make sure you tune in next week for the second part of our special Champions League round of 16 preview with, of course, the best front three in the world.
Three wise men will listen to. There's only 3 wise men will listen to. It's the front three. No, it's the front three. There's only 3.